Hey, are you familiar with the WikiTree? Yeah, I wasn't really that familiar with it either until the fine folks over there at WikiTree invited me to be a guest on their WikiTree challenge. Let me explain what the WikiTree is. It is a collaborative tree where you can add your family history totally for free. And they currently have like 27 million profiles up there, so it's a great place for you to go look for other genealogy connections. All right, well, there's a ton of information that you can find right on the homepage at the wikitree.com page on the website there. So here today, what I'm going to share with you are some excerpts from the WikiTree Challenge. Now, the WikiTree Challenge is this, and it's kind of fun. What happens is they take different guests, like myself, and they pre-populate the WikiTree My Family History up to the great-grandparents. And then these volunteers that are participating in the challenge, they just go wild. They, like, for 1 week, they go and research like crazy and try and find as many connections, break down as many brick walls, and try and weave their way through my family history. So today, I'm going to share with you some excerpts about what they revealed to me about my own family history. Hey, before we jump over there, let me introduce myself. My name is Connie Knox. I'm a lifelong genealogist here to help you go further, faster, and factually with your family history research. Now, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so that you don't miss any of these videos. And also know that there is a website, a newsletter, and a Facebook page. All the links for that are in the description box below. If you want to help support Genealogy TV, you can do so by joining the channel membership. Click the join button to learn a little bit more. All right, let's jump over to the WikiTree Challenge and see what they found about my family history.
Hello everyone, happy Wednesday. We are here to wrap up our week for Connie and tell her all of the secrets that we have.
I'm excited.
And my name is Sarah. I'm a WikiTree team member. Next to me we have Mindy, who is the overall project coordinator for the challenge, also is the captain for Connie's week. And then next to we have Laura, who is the captain for Scott. And then we have Connie, who we're wrapping up this week, and we have Scott. I'm going to tell you very quickly what WikiTree is and also what the WikiTree Challenge is. So the WikiTree Challenge, the WikiTree is a community of genealogists who are working together on a single family tree. In other words, we collaborate to grow an accurate global tree that connects us all together. And most remarkably, it's free. The WikiTree Challenge is our year-long event and a part of our Year of Accuracy, where each week a team of WikiTreeers takes on a genealogy guest stars tree and collaborates to make it more accurate and complete than it is anywhere else. Our goal is to improve our accuracy on WikiTree and add more family connections and make more friends.
Yeah, let's tell everybody about the point system. Now, we're definitely not in it just for the points. We are a volunteer community and we love to get out there and take on a great challenge. But points are a good motivator and it helps us see how we're doing. So we have our MVP, most valuable player, which we'll show you in a few minutes. They get points by either breaking down a brick wall, which is 10 points, or adding a nuclear relative, so a sibling, a child. Those are 1 point each, and they add up actually pretty fast.
So we have our MVP and stats for Connie's week.
And this would be our MVP. Oh, he was just a lifesaver. Connie, you're going to love the work he did. Ol Selmer was awesome. This was his first time actually participating in the challenge. He came in just to take care of some of those Denmark profiles. Top 5 were Ol Selmer, Maggie N., Robin Baker, who's also new to the challenge, Donna Bowman, and Maddie Hardman. And we had just an incredible week. Let me tell you, every time I thought, oh, wow, our week got really great, Connie, it got better. These are the people that actively contributed. But let me tell you, there are a number of people behind the scenes that are doing those things. Like I said, writing those biographies, looking up obituaries for people, doing all those things and they don't show up on this sheet, but we couldn't do what we do without them. So at any rate, we have 921 points, 135 direct ancestors added to your branches. And then for those nuclear relatives, 366 more profiles. So
and one more was added since I opened this page.
And they're still working. And the bounty points, we actually hit high in the challenge. We made 420 bounty points. Yay. Which means that's 42 of what we mark as a brick wall. Now, that may not have been a
Yeah.
brick wall you couldn't get through, but it's somebody that you did not have on your tree that we added or we found on WikiTree and we connected. Oh boy, like I said, it was an exciting week. It was really exciting. And then the next two things just kind of lets you see those people in the background that I'm talking about. Now, for profiles edited, we had 1,002 unique
Wow.
profiles edited. Yeah. And, when I say that people are adding the nuclear relatives, like the children, the siblings, they don't stop there. We get a will, and we had a lot of them this weekend, the last challenge week, and we're adding in the grandkids and the kids' kids. And, so there's actually more profiles than what the points show, but we only get points for the nuclear relatives. But those are the total profiles edited. And then just during this 1 week time, there were 4,304 edits. So every time somebody went in, added a source, fixed a date, did something, that's how many edits were done in 1 week's time. I mean, it just blows your mind, right? And for the Davis line, we wound up doing a lot, especially, and I know that you had just made that miraculous connection with DNA, but you hadn't had the time yet to go out there and work on the actual people and see what you had. Both of those lines extended back into the 17th century and with Quaker families. So a lot of Quaker records, which is wonderful for other people. I know you've seen them, but for people that haven't, there aren't a lot of vital records in that area at that time. So the Quaker records are just a godsend between them and the wills. They have a lot of information. Now, Zachariah Nixon was said to be the progenitor of the Nixon line in the Carolinas. And he is said to have gone from England to Virginia, and he wound up in Pasquotank precinct about 1663. So that's how far back we took that line. And actually, to get, any personalized, we want to bring these people back to life for you. On somebody that far back is a little bit hard, but we were lucky and we found a quote from a friend that said after he passed, "Our friend and brother Zachariah Nixon departed this life the 3rd day of the 12th month, 1691, in the evening as the sun went down, and then continued his testimony for God's truth to the end, and now is at rest with the faithful where his soul's satisfaction."
Wow.
Yeah. I just thought that was really touching. We don't just do profiles. We like to, if we can, we like to find topics that we can do our space pages on, which means it's basically a blank slate, and we can put what we want on it. This was really just mostly yesterday that it was done, but it actually was really fascinating. This guy was an upstanding citizen, Warner Davis, in his town. Everybody thought, really well of him. And his wife thought he had heard a noise outside and gone out and maybe surprised a thief at the smokehouse. And she heard some bumping and grunting, whatever. And by the time she could get up the nerve to go out there, he was dead outside. She couldn't revive him. And they never did find the thief. And the town, of course, talked about it repeatedly and looked for this horrible person that stole their beloved, Warner Davis. Yeah. Needed a biography. She found a murder mystery. What wound up happening is almost 50 years later, this gentleman was on his deathbed, this other guy was, and he confesses that him and his buddies had this counterfeit ring. And what had happened is the cow had gotten out, and that's what she heard out there was him bumping around chasing the cow, trying to get it to go back in. And for some reason, the cow was spooked and took off. Well, he chased it down and stumbled upon them and their counterfeiting ring. And that's
wow.
right. And that's why he was killed by this other guy. So, I mean, she did an incredible amount of research. You're going to get the link to this page. There's a lot of, as you can see, articles and whatnot. Just really interesting.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank
this
you.
is great. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, Lucy's in the chat. Thank you, Lucy, for this.
Thank you,
wonderful
Lucy.
page.
So much. Wow. Wow. Very cool. Thank you so much.
Now, of course, here's where, it gets into some of the fun stuff for Connie. Definitely here was where Ole had to work. And that was actually a farmhouse that, we think of, like, I have a lot of ancestors that are farmers, but they were just farmers. These were smallholders that actually managed a farm like a business or, a level above the common people. They were in charge of that. And some of these were passed down from father to son. Just like, you'd hear back in the days with the kings and the queens and everybody had their houses of whatever name. Old did some really great research on this, and I loved finding just the different occupations and stuff. We had, well, let's talk a little bit about Mads first. He was your third great grandfather. He was baptized at home. He stood about 5'3".
Really?
Yeah, he managed the farm in Lindell's, and so later sometimes was called by the name of Lynn. He had served as a soldier in 1828 at Cronin's regiment, which was the Crown's regiment, and it was just interesting that I think he was finding more on that side than we were finding on the United States side because of the Quakers. So he was finding people that had military service. Now there was one little hiccup for us, and thank goodness once again for our Denmark expert, because I would have done the same thing. But they had the records, and when there were two men of the same name, Tom Smith and Tom Smith, instead of saying junior and senior or the elder, they would say where they're from and give it like a farm name, a location name.
Ah, that explains it.
Yeah, so the Evo that was up there as a last name,
Uh-huh.
that's up there now as like another last name, only because people kind of used it in that context, but it really wasn't his name. It was a location. He really found a lot on looking at those, so it was a lot of fun. And you did wind up with 4 new ancestors behind Mads Hansen, so that you were at least going back one more generation on each one of those lines. And he just did really a fabulous job on that.
Thank you so much.
And then Francisca Jensen of Kolding, Denmark. Once again, on this Madsen Jensen line you were really interested in. We found for this part 6 new brick wall ancestors, including Jens Sorensen Jensen. He was a smallholder, like we had talked about at first, and then later he became a butcher. Now, his first wife died during childbirth. He's outlived the second wife. The man died at the age of 84. I mean, that's pretty good long life, but yeah, the wives were just not making it so much. And then another one on that line, Soren Rasmussen, was born about 1761 in Denmark. Now, he was only 2 years old when his father's probate was filed, so he was just a little guy. He wound up being a wooden spoon maker, which fascinated me because a lot of times you see woodworker, but not something so specific there, where it says a spoon maker. And he left behind a wife and 2 children, plus the wife had an illegitimate child. He was only about 52 when he died. Now, Oliver Booth, we got 7 new direct ancestors on this line, which was 5 brick walls where we had brick walls marked. And you had been looking at the possibility of the relation to John Wilkes Booth only because people had mentioned it. And you said it had to be way out there if it was there. And it was way out there, but yes, we did find it. So
You did.
yes. So John
I
Wilkes.
searched high and low.
And part of the fun, not only having this beautiful white space to write on for these biographies and having the collaboration that we have, are the really cool tools that our techies work hard at, making and refining for us. So, we have the relationship finder, and you can find your connection or relationship to somebody. John Wilkes Booth and Constance Knox are 12th cousins 4 times removed.
Oh, God.
So, right? Yeah, you said back there. It was back there.
I told my daughter one time, I said, this can't be. I said, of course, if it is, why can't we be related to, Abraham Lincoln? We have to be related to John Wilkes Booth.
I know, right? I want to be related to George Washington.
Oh my gosh.
And your common ancestor was Edmund Trafford, who was born about 1442. He was your 15th great grandfather and John's 11th great grandfather.
I guess we could find any connection anywhere.
Okay, so next we have Melissa Booth's line. There are now more than 50 new to you ancestors on that line, Connie.
Wow.
I quit counting at 50. I was like, I can't. 26. Wait, I used all my toes up. It was too much. They stretch back to pre-1600. Now, this is another nice thing. See all those beautiful little DNA symbols on the right? those are all people that have some amount of possible DNA match to you that say they're related to that person. So each time, I don't have people that have that long of a list. I go out there and there's like, oh, my cousin Jim's right there and my cousin Kim's on there too. All of those people are ones, and their kits are right there. So if you want to compare them on, some of them are Ancestry, some are GEDmatch, different places. I know you know what to do with the DNA. So that's going to give you more tools to play with.
Oh my gosh, it's going to take me a year to get through all this.
You're
Wow,
gonna
you guys are
you're gonna
incredible.
you're gonna at least want to be bookmarking stuff, or I don't know. I can see it now. Connie's gonna have post-its everywhere. Like, don't forget to look at this one.
And just to let everybody know, this little icon here that has a little thing will show you the connection between the person whose profile it is and that person. So if you wanted to see the trail.
Right, and
Fantastic.
we use that a lot for our DNA confirmation statements here on WikiTree. Okay, and then we're going to go into George Simmon and his part, and this one added 25 new direct ancestors, 25 off of this one set of parents. George's mother was another example of where finding the right records, in this case it was a maiden name that we needed, can break down a brick wall. His father, John, had married a Mary Fullwood, which led to 10 new ancestors behind her. I mean, I'm telling you, every time we'd find a really good find and somebody'd go, oh, wow. And now I found the parents and I found the grandpa. Oh, wait, I'm still going, and we think, oh, we're just going to shock Connie with all this stuff. And then we'd start all over again and somebody'd find a whole new path. On Sarah Phibbs, her ancestry, and these were notes that somebody had made for you, actually somebody from one of our England projects did a lot of really great work, but said that the Sarah Phibbs ancestry is nearly all nail makers in and around the Kingswin Ford in Black Country, which of course is where they did all the mining and had all the foundries during that time, and that's why they called it that. They were actually pretty prosperous in the 18th century, but then times got harder for them. And, there was less demand from the colonies and more competition and cheaper prices. And so, some of the earliest ones, though, left wills. And it was just really incredible for her to work through these wills. Now, some of them also use space pages like what you saw to put a will on, because that way you can put the will on that and just link it to the profile instead of having the whole thing on there. Now, I have to admit, I did abstracts on the ones I worked on, but some of them put full transcriptions for you. So one way or the other, you got a lot of wills.
Wow, you guys are awesome.
Okay, WikiTreeers, go.
Yay. Yes, we have some
Mind-blowing.
amazing people.
You guys have done more in 1 week than I could do in a lifetime, I think.
For your
Oh my
previous
gosh.
project that you had made.
Now for Wilhelmina Koss, that line actually, that was some of the first brick walls that came down, and that was the Clovis and Koss families. They were a little bit tricky because there was so many of them in the area, and there was a little bit of intermarrying. Those were some of the lines Emma could do. She was didn't have as much time as she wanted this week to do a lot of DNA confirmations, and then of course on the Denmark line she didn't have the matches to work with. They just weren't there. But she did try and get some of them done. And then you did have on that line a John Koss, born about 1840, was described in the census, was a minister of gospel. So some very, very religious people. Now, this was the big shocking thing on this. On this line, you got more than 60 new ancestors just on Wilhelmina's line. More than 60. And this stretched actually back to the 11th century. So when you get a chance to look at this, you're going to see we worked, we tried to work back. And so all of those are proven. But then when you get back to the really old one, you're going to see the work our projects have done on these amazing, 11th, 12th, 13th century ancestors. It's just incredible. You're going to have a lot. You're not going to get through this anytime soon. I was amazed. This was just so
I'm
much fun to
amazed.
get.
I'm kind of blown away.
I
This
know.
is a line I have not, I've been so focused on some other brick walls that I haven't even touched this line much at all. So I am so appreciative.
And then this is one of the things that, is supposed to happen with WikiTree. Of course, the more we get people on here and we fill out their branches, all of a sudden these people start connecting, so we kept finding all these profiles that were floating out there, and they were maybe connected to a small family, but not connected as they should be to the global tree. And as we've worked through each of you guys, especially where you guys might have a common, background areas, we've had several that have the North Carolina, for example. As we get that filled out more and more, that increases the chances that you're going to have those more distant ancestors that you're all of a sudden going to connect to. And I tell you, it was exciting though. I'm like, more than 60. Oh my gosh. One of them had more than 70, I believe, just
Holy
coming off of
cow.
one line.
Nice.
Now, this was the military service, and this is where I was saying, and you may still have plenty of patriots. A patriot wasn't just a soldier during the American Revolution. And the Quakers, as a matter of fact, a lot of them had to pay taxes because they wouldn't serve, which is still considered patriotic duty. That money went towards the military. But for the ones that actually served, we didn't see that many, in your lines. And then we kept finding them, or rather, Old kept finding them on the other side, so you did have some nice World War II. And like I was talking about there with the Crowns Regiment, you did have military on the paternal side as well. And this is another space page that was done for you, Connie. You'll get a link to this as well. And, of course, we just kept finding that all these families were so established in these Quaker meeting houses. And we all learned from each other during this process. I have a trick to do this and somebody else has a trick to do that. And I'm like, wait a minute, let me write that down. So she was learning as she did this, but she started out trying to put the names on the page, and she quickly found out that you had way too many ancestors to, just link in there. And so somebody was, showing her to do the category for them. Now, if you go to this category for the Quaker, these are all people that went to that meeting house.
Kind of cool. Those Quakers, man, they have the greatest records. Oh
man,
my
they do. Yeah. I know they do. I have a whole new level of appreciation for them. Now, this you'll get to, and it's a little, of course, hard to see on this screen, but this is where your brick walls are marked. So everywhere you see one of those little dots on there, that's a B. And you kind of see it in the pop out there. And those are numbered for you, so you can go through the sheet and see, where those new ancestors exactly popped up at that. So that was the first new ancestor on each line. They got bounty points for the first ancestor they got to on each line. Another one of our tools on WikiTree is the Ancestor Explorer app. And it was showing that you have 728 ancestors now within 12 generations. Now it's 88 for the 7th, 54% for the 8th, 34% for the 9th, and a full 25% on that 10th generation that you have filled in.
Bravo. That is fantastic. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you, all the volunteers. Oh my gosh. What a gift. Thank you.
Right. They are just amazing. People they never cease to amaze me how well they do.
Incredible.
It was an awesome week. We did, we found so much stuff, and
I can't wait to dig in and see all the details and read through it all. Yes, very excited. Thank you so much. Well, that was a ton of fun. Thank you for the folks over there at WikiTree. I really appreciate it. I learned a lot. And you know what? You should go over to WikiTree and check it out, because you might find some more connections about your family history there. And again, everything there is totally for free. Those guys rock. All right, there are more videos on the screen for your binge watching pleasure. Enjoy the genealogical journey.